Well, it is good to be back with you for another day of Bible study as we are continuing on our journey through the Enneagram 36 Bible characters and their personality types, all brought to you courtesy of Christ Table. Head on over to www.christtable.today to find out more about who we are and how you can be involved. You can sign up for our email list there. You can also donate. Safe, secure, simple, and we only are able to do what we're able to do here because of your donations. And one of the things that we do are these Bible studies, and we're glad to have you along. If you'd like more information about this Bible study, you can visit go.christtable.today/bu, that URL right there. There you're going to find a link to the book, The Road Back to You by Ian Crone, which will help you understand the Enneagram more. You're also going to find a PDF download to all of the 36 Bible readings so that you can join us on this journey. And if you're not sure what your Enneagram personality type is, you'll find a couple of tests there that you can take in order to help you discern which of the 9 types are most like you and which then of the Bible characters who have that personality type perhaps most resonate with you and are more and most instructive for you. Now, we also want to invite you Wednesday night, tomorrow night, if you're watching this live or by delay on Tuesday or Wednesday, then hop on over to go.christtable.today/discuss at 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. We'll be talking about this type 7 personality type, the enthusiast, and would love to have you on board. That'll be chapters 11 and chapters 12, the last couple of chapters in the book. But even if you haven't read the book, come on over and talk, or at least listen in on some of the conversation about what we have discovered about this personality type. One other thing that I want to make sure that you are aware of, we send a box that is packed with spiritual resources to those who are a part of Christ's Table. And anybody who gives regularly at that URL, www.christtable.today, is on the list of people who will receive this box. They will be in your homes, should be late July. We're just finishing them up at this point. This is going to be a good one. This one's going to be about deconstruction and what do you do whenever you are on a journey or know someone who's on a journey of deconstruction or have deconstructed their faith. And so we'd love to get one of these out to you, and it's absolutely free. You can't buy it. We just send it out to our donors or to anyone who specifically asks for one, and would love to put one in your hands. Well, let's dig in. Today we come to what I believe is one of the most fascinating, most interesting, and also most understood passages in the New Testament. This one, though, is remarkable. It's unbelievable. The woman at the well is absolutely incredible and has been absolutely incredibly misunderstood. And whenever we come to conversations about personalities, we recognize that oftentimes we misunderstand others and their personality because we understand and have experienced oftentimes our own being misunderstood. And so whenever we come to a type 7, an enthusiast personality, I don't want to guess or assume that everybody understands the Enneagram personality type system. So let's just maybe hit pause for a moment before we jump into the woman of the well and explain what we're talking about whenever we say a type 7 personality. So type 7 personality is oftentimes the class clown of the life of the party. They are a person who just is happy with being content, experiencing life to the fullest. They want to have a good time. They want to eat, drink, and be merry. They want to just have all of the experiences that life can offer them because they don't want to miss out on anything. And their biggest fear is being trapped in a life or in a situation that causes them to miss out, especially because it brings them pain or negativity. They want to be happy. They want to be joyful. They want to be positive, and they fear any situation or any person or any relationship that prevents them from being that. And today, this person is trapped in a situation, and so the deadly sin, oftentimes, the the vice for a type 7 personality is gluttony, is soothing pain in their life in seasons of unhealth with other things, most often food, but gluttony can be filled with many other things than food. So, are you a type 7? Do you know a type 7? Well, you might be a 7 if you're spontaneous, scattered, idealistic, if you're visionary, overindulgent, imaginative. If anyone has used words like adventurer, future oriented, enthusiastic, or charming to describe you, then you may well be a type 7 personality or know someone who is. And this is a rather easy type of person to stereotype, to type, because like I said, they're joy-filled, they're the life of the party, they chase the hit, they chase the endorphin hit. And so as we begin to look into this woman at the well whom Jesus interacts with in John chapter 4, one of the things that will be critical is understanding that whenever any of us are in seasons of health, we operate in one kind of set of data points in our personality. And whenever we're in a place where we're not very healthy, then we operate differently. Our personality looks different. Now, for type 7s, at their best, they add joy to relationships. They bring optimism wherever they go. They solve problems with the natural outpouring of creative energy. And we talked about that a little bit yesterday with Solomon. And we have to assume that because this woman attracted so many people to her, Jesus, multiple husbands, we're going to find out, and even the people of the city listen to her, follow her, that she brought joy and optimism to people that she was around. But at their worst, in difficult situations, type 7s have a fear of being trapped in pain or a boring routine, and it makes it hard for them to settle down, focus, or honestly address problems. And the lady that we're going to interact with today certainly understands pain, and we'll get to that pain in just a moment. So he, meaning Jesus, John chapter 4, verse 4, had to go through Samaria on the way to where he was going. Eventually, he came to the Samaritan village of Sychar, near the field that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now, this is a very important area to the Jews, but one which had all but been abandoned because of the ethnicity of the people who had taken up residence there. They didn't like him, didn't get along. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired from the long walk, sat wearily beside the well about noontime, which would have meant that at that time of day, the well was relatively empty. There probably wouldn't have been anybody who was around then. But soon, randomly, a woman who is a Samaritan of a different ethnicity than Jesus comes to draw water. Jesus says to her, which we're already kind of off the rails here because Jews and Samaritans did not talk. Men and women who were in this situation probably would not have talked or would have avoided each other because of the social and gender separations, would not have talked either. But Jesus breaks code and says, could you draw me some water with your bucket? He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. This is important because the disciples never would have allowed this to happen. The woman was surprised, for Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. There it is. And she says to Jesus, you're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink? Jesus said, if you only knew the gift that God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water. And as is typical, Jesus speaks in crazy code that somehow or other speaks truth, but also piques the interest and changes the conversation, which Jesus does here. He turns it immediately from a conversation about gender differences and appropriate relationships and physical water to something spiritual, something that threw her off her game in the pivot. But sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket, she said. So she's she's not yet necessarily there yet. And this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestors, Jacob, who gave us this well? So she is not yet understanding exactly what Jesus is trying to say here whenever he says this. So she asks the question, how can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed? Now, one of the things that is important, and I was just pulling it up over here for sevens, is to practice patience. I'm married to a type 7, and one of the things that I can confirm, both in my experience as a spouse as well as in my experience with type 7s, is patience is not always something that 7s easily come by. They are always moving in fifth gear. They are always speeding balls to the wall at anything that they are tasked with or have set their mind to in the moment. Even resting for them is a sporting event, and so it's difficult for them to practice patience. They travel at a different speed than those around them, and this can make them impatient with others, and sevens also can be impatient with themselves. This is something that sevens can work on, and this is something here that this woman is clearly showing and betraying the fact that she is a 7, because she's just moving at a breakneck speed, trying to understand what's going on here, why Jesus is here, what he's speaking about with this living water. He doesn't understand it. Jesus, this is a special place. This is Jacob's well. I don't know what you're talking about here, and on and on and on and on and on. Sometimes the best thing that you can do, that we can do, is to hit pause. Hitting pause is not easy for a 7. Taking a break is not easy for a 7. Stopping is not easy for a 7. And oftentimes that's because of that fear of pain. Many times for 7s, and this can even describe those of us oftentimes who are not 7s, we have this burden of pain and life and situations that are unresolved, that are just kind of lurking out of scene. And we fear that if we hit pause, or if we stop for a moment, those things might jump. They might pounce like a lion ready to attack its prey. And so we just keep moving. We keep our minds moving forward. We keep our bodies moving forward. We keep the things in our life moving forward in order to have to fear or to avoid dealing with something, for fear of having to deal with it if we stop. It might just overwhelm us. 7s need to practice patience with others. It's hard, 7s, but also with themselves. And she certainly has something lurking behind her. Jesus says, anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again, but those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes fresh, becomes a bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. And so at that moment, she relents and says, absolutely, please, sir, give me this water. Then I will never be thirsty again, and I won't have to come here and draw this water. And the fact that she is drawing this water at noon is a clue to us, because it's the hottest part of the day, and women did not draw water at noon. They drew water from wells, either in the cool of the morning or in the cool of the evening. So she's there at noon, which means she's avoiding something, and Jesus is about to out her. Go to your husband. Jesus says, I don't have a husband. The woman replies, and Jesus says, you're right, you don't have a husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and you aren't even married to the man you're living with.
You certainly spoke the truth. Now, Jesus isn't shaming her. This is usually taken as Jesus shaming her for the intent of outing her sin. The story that this woman has been married 5 times and is now living with a 6th man is not because she is broken in the way that we assume and tell the story that she is. And she's not a serial marriage person. She's not gone through 5 divorces because she's an adulteress who can't stay committed. This isn't about her, except that it is about her and that she can't get pregnant. And so the only reason why multiple men would have married a woman, the only reason why a woman would have gone through this many divorces is because she was not able to produce children. In the Jewish culture, that was akin to being the unpardonable sin. And so it was a right reason for divorce if a woman could not give you a child. And so multiple men had assumed that it was the guy before her, or just hadn't stayed married long enough, hadn't done it the right way in order to produce a child. And so they jumped at the chance to marry a 7 because 7s are wonderfully attractive individuals in their personality, because they bring joy. They exude hope. They are fun to be with in any kind of relationship. And so many men had fallen for her, but not cared for her, and had abandoned her. And so the sixth man doesn't care about her having children, doesn't care about marriage. The 6th man is just using her for sex, for a good time. This is what Jesus is alluding to here, is that he understands her pain and her brokenness. And as a 7, this is something that she is going to feel uncomfortable with, because she's trying to keep that in the past. She's been abused. And Jesus has now pointed to the very abuse which she has been trying to avoid by showing up at noon, so she doesn't have to face the other women and what they think. She, in her situation, as a type 7, needs to do the same thing that we need to do many times in our own situations, 7 or not, and that's face our past. Jesus is not allowing her to avoid her past anymore, but is forcing her to face her past. 7s love the future. 7s love thinking about what's to come. They love closing the book on the chapters that were, oftentimes closing the book on the chapters that were too soon, before they've been dealt with, in order oftentimes to avoid dealing with the past. Jesus isn't going to let her do that. The past, 7s don't like it very much. 7s don't like the past very much, especially when it comes to remembering the pain, when it comes to remembering the problems. 7s don't like the past very much whenever it requires reviewing the rainy days. It's a downer. Don't want to go there. So they put it into a box and set it in a side and leaves it undealt with. And those boxes will begin oftentimes to pile up, and they become a whole house, a whole storage unit. They become an entire warehouse of worry and problems. Face your past. Jesus is offering her living water. He's offering her a life that allows her to once and for all put those things in the past and stop dragging them behind her. But unless she is willing and able to face her past, she's not going to be able to have freedom. And neither will you. Sometimes you've got to take an unflinching hard look at people who have caused you pain, of people who have used or abused you, have caused you hurt. And you've got to work towards active forgiveness. I don't throw that around saying you just gotta forgive and forget. No, it's not forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't something that is for the other person. Forgiveness is something that allows you to untie those things from your future because they're holding you back. Face your past. Now, we're going to stop here in the story rather than continue on. And I want you to jump back into the story and continue on from where we hit pause in John chapter 4 to the end in John chapter 42, because we see this magnificent journey where her facing her past allows her, and not just her, to have a radically incredible, transformative experience with Jesus, with herself, and with her community. That's my hope and my prayer for you this day as well, is that you, like the woman at the well, will practice patience, face your past, and in so doing, both of those things will lead you to transformation and a radical confrontation with Jesus and a letting go of all of those things that are holding you back. Until tomorrow, happy reading.